Have you ever felt that nagging feeling in your gut? You know, the one that whispers, there's got to be more to life than this? Maybe it hits you on Monday mornings when your alarm goes off, or during those long afternoons at work when you're staring at the clock, willing it to move faster. If you felt this way, you're not alone. Millions of people around the world drag themselves to jobs they don't love, day after day, year after year. But what if I told you that some of us, maybe even you, were meant for something different? Something more? Think about it for a second. Do you ever get the sense that you're a square peg trying to fit into a round hole? That no matter how hard you try, the 9 to 5 grind just doesn't feel right? Well, here's a thought that might shake things up. What if you weren't made to work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.? What if you're one of the chosen few who are meant to break free from the traditional work mold and follow a different path? Now, I know what you're thinking. Chosen? That sounds a bit far-fetched, but stick with me here. I'm not talking about some elite group of superhumans. I'm talking about ordinary people like you and me who feel a deeper calling, a pull towards something greater than the daily grind. These are the folks who feel a connection to the world that goes beyond the material. The ones who sense that there's more to life than just earning a paycheck and paying bills. But here's the thing, and this is important, ignoring this feeling can come at a high cost. When we push down that voice inside us, when we ignore our true calling, we're not just missing out on potential happiness. We're actually risking our well-being, both mental and spiritual. Think about it this way. Have you ever worn shoes that were too tight? At first, it's just a little uncomfortable. You can ignore it for a while, but the longer you wear them, the more it starts to affect you. Your feet hurt, then your legs, then your back. Soon, you're not walking right and everything feels off. That's what it's like when we ignore our true purpose. It might seem manageable at first, but over time, it starts to wear us down in ways we might not even notice. When we spend our days doing work that doesn't align with our deeper selves, we're not just wasting time. We're actually dimming our own light. We're like plants that need sunlight to grow, but instead, we're keeping ourselves in the shade. Sure, we might survive, but we're not thriving. We're not reaching our full potential. And it's not just about personal fulfillment, though that's certainly important. When we ignore our true calling, we're also robbing the world of our unique gifts. Each of us has something special to offer, a unique perspective or talent that only we can bring to the table. When we're stuck in jobs that don't allow us to express these gifts, it's not just us who suffer, the whole world misses out. But perhaps the biggest risk of all is spiritual stagnation. For those of us who feel a deeper connection to the world, who sense that there's more to life than what meets the eye, being trapped in the 9 to 5 grind can feel like a spiritual prison. It's like we're birds meant to soar, but we've convinced ourselves that we belong in a cage. We might be safe, we might be secure, but we're not free. And without that freedom, our spirits can't grow and evolve the way they're meant to. So, what happens if we keep ignoring this call? Well, for some people, it might lead to a sense of emptiness that no amount of material success can fill. They might climb the corporate ladder, get the big house and the fancy car, but still feel like something's missing. For others, it might manifest as chronic stress or anxiety, a constant feeling of being out of place or out of step with the world around them. And for some, it might even lead to a kind of spiritual crisis, a feeling of being disconnected from their own souls. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. Recognizing that you might be one of the chosen, one of those people who are meant for a different path, is the first step towards change. It's like waking up from a long sleep and realizing that the world is much bigger and more colorful than you ever imagined. Now, let's talk about what I mean when I say the chosen. I'm not talking about some exclusive club or secret society. I'm not even talking about a religious concept, necessarily. When I say the chosen, I'm talking about people who feel a deeper connection to the world around them. People who sense that there's more to life than what we can see and touch. Think of it this way. Most people go through life focused on the physical world. They're concerned with their jobs, their homes, their possessions. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all need to take care of our physical needs. But the chosen are different. They're like people who can hear music that others can't. They're tuned into a different frequency, you might say. These are the people who often feel a bit out of place in the normal world. Maybe you've felt this way yourself. You might find yourself looking at the world around you and thinking, is this really all there is? You might feel a pull towards spiritual or philosophical ideas, even if you can't quite explain why. You might find yourself drawn to nature or art or meditation. Anything that helps you feel connected to something bigger than yourself. The chosen often have a strong sense of empathy. They're the kind of people who can walk into a room and immediately sense the mood. They might find themselves affected by other people's emotions, sometimes to the point where it's overwhelming. They're often the ones their friends turn to for advice or comfort because they seem to understand on a deeper level. Another common trait among the chosen is a sense of purpose. Not necessarily a specific purpose. It's not like they're all born knowing exactly what they're meant to do. But they have a general sense that they're here for a reason. They feel like they have something important to contribute to the world, even if they're not quite sure what it is yet. The chosen are often creative types. They might be artists, writers, musicians, or they might express their creativity in other ways. They're the ones who see possibilities where others see obstacles. They're the dreamers, the visionaries, the ones who imagine how things could be different. But here's an important point. Being one of the chosen doesn't make you better than anyone else. It's not about superiority. It's simply about having a different kind of calling. It's about being wired in a way that makes the traditional 9 to 5 lifestyle feel uncomfortable or unfulfilling. And that's really the crux of the matter. The chosen weren't made to work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. because that kind of rigid structure often doesn't allow for the freedom and flexibility they need to fulfill their purpose. The traditional work model is based on the idea that we're all interchangeable parts in a big machine. But the chosen aren't interchangeable. They're unique, with special gifts and perspectives that don't always fit neatly into predefined roles. This doesn't mean that the chosen can't hold regular jobs. Many do, especially while they're figuring out their path. But they often feel a sense of restlessness, a feeling that they're meant for something more. They might find themselves daydreaming at their desks, or feeling drained at the end of each workday in a way that goes beyond physical tiredness. For the chosen, work isn't just about making money. It's about making a difference. It's about expressing their unique gifts and contributing to the world in a meaningful way. They're not satisfied with just punching a clock and collecting a paycheck. They want their work to be an expression of who they are, a way to fulfill their deeper purpose. This is why the traditional 8 to 6 work model often feels so constricting to the chosen. It's not just about the long hours, though that's certainly part of it. It's about the lack of meaning, the sense of being trapped in a role that doesn't allow for growth or self-expression. The chosen needs space to explore, to create, to connect with others on a deeper level. They need the freedom to follow their intuition, to pursue the ideas and projects that call to them. They often work best when they have flexibility in their schedules, when they can work in bursts of inspiration rather than being tied to a desk for set hours each day. But here's the challenge. Our society isn't really set up to support this kind of lifestyle. From a young age, we're taught that success means getting a stable job, climbing the corporate ladder, and retiring with a good pension. We're told that following our passions is risky, that it's better to play it safe and stick to the well-trodden path. And let's be real, there's some truth to that. We all have bills to pay, and the idea of stepping off the traditional career path can be scary. But for the chosen, the cost of not following their calling can be even higher. It's like trying to hold your breath underwater. You can do it for a while, but eventually, the need for air becomes overwhelming. So if you're feeling that pull, if you're sensing that you might be one of the chosen, what can you do? Well, the first step is simply acknowledging it. Recognize that your feelings are valid, that your desire for more meaning in your work isn't selfish or unrealistic. It's a sign that you're meant for something different. The next step is to start exploring. This doesn't mean you have to quit your job tomorrow and become a wandering mystic, though if that's your calling, more power to you. It might mean starting small, maybe dedicating some time each week to a creative project, or volunteering for a cause you care about. It might mean learning a new skill that aligns more closely with your interests, or reaching out to people who are living the kind of life you aspire to. Remember, Being one of the chosen doesn't mean your path will be easy. In fact, it often means facing more challenges and uncertainty than those who follow more traditional paths. But it also means having the opportunity to live a life that's truly aligned with who you are, to make a unique contribution to the world. As we move forward in this discussion, we'll explore more about what it means to be one of the chosen, how to recognize the signs, and practical steps you can take to start living a life that honors your deeper calling. Whether you're just starting to question the 9 to 5 grind, or you've been feeling this pull for years, know that you're not alone. There are others out there like you, seeking a different way of living and working. And together, we can create a world that values not just productivity, but purpose. A world where success is measured not by the size of your paycheck, but by the impact you make and the fullness with which you live your life. So if you've ever felt that there must be more to life than the daily grind, if you've ever sensed that you were meant for something different, stay tuned. Because this journey of discovery, of uncovering your true potential and purpose, is just beginning. And who knows? You might just find that you're one of the chosen after all. Let's talk about why the standard 9 to 5 job often feels like a trap for the chosen. It's not just about the early mornings or the long hours. It goes much deeper than that. For the chosen, the problem with the typical workday is that it often feels like a cage for the soul. Think about it. In most 9 to 5 jobs, your day is mapped out for you. You arrive at a certain time, do specific tasks, take breaks when you're told to, and leave when the clock says it's time. This kind of structure can be comforting for some people, but for the chosen, it can feel suffocating. Why? Because the chosen often needs space for inspiration, for creativity, for following their intuition. And let's face it, inspiration doesn't always strike between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Another big issue is the lack of meaning in many traditional jobs. The chosen aren't satisfied with just pushing papers or meeting quotas. They need to feel like their work matters, like they're making a real difference in the world. But in many 9 to 5 jobs, it can be hard to see the bigger picture. You might be a small cog in a big machine, never really seeing how your work impacts others or contributes to something greater. There's also the issue of personal growth. The chosen are often driven by a deep desire to learn, to evolve, to become the best versions of themselves. But many traditional jobs don't offer much room for personal development. You might get the occasional training session or performance review, but real, soul-deep growth? That's often not part of the job description. And let's not forget about energy. The chosen often have a different kind of energy. They might have bursts of creativity or productivity that don't fit neatly into the 9 to 5 schedule. They might feel most alive and inspired at midnight or at dawn or in the middle of the afternoon. But in a traditional job, they're forced to conform to a schedule that might not match their natural rhythms. This can leave them feeling drained and unfulfilled, even if they're not doing physically demanding work. There's also the issue of purpose. The chosen often feel a strong sense of purpose, a calling to do something meaningful with their lives. But in many 9 to 5 jobs, the main purpose is to make money for the company. Now, there's nothing wrong with making money, but for the chosen, it's not enough. They need to feel like their work aligns with their values, like they're contributing to something they truly believe in. And then there's the lack of freedom. The chosen often have a strong independent streak. They like to do things their own way, to follow their own path. But in a typical 9 to 5 job, there's often little room for this kind of independence. You're expected to follow the rules, to do things the way they've always been done. For the chosen, this can feel like being forced to wear clothes that don't fit, uncomfortable, restrictive, and just not right. All of this can lead to a deep sense of frustration and unfulfillment for the chosen in traditional work environments. They might find themselves counting down the hours until they can leave, living for the weekends, or dreaming of escape. They might feel a constant, nagging sense that they're meant for something more, something different. And this feeling doesn't just affect their work life. It can spill over into every aspect of their existence, leading to stress, anxiety, and even depression. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. The chosen weren't made for the 9 to 5 grind, and that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's a sign that they're meant for a different kind of life, a different kind of work. The challenge is figuring out what that looks like and how to make it happen in a world that's set up for the 9 to 5. Now, you might be wondering, am I one of the chosen? It's a big question, and the answer isn't always clear-cut. But there are some signs that might indicate you're part of this special group. Let's explore some of these signs together. First off, do you often feel like you don't quite fit in with the normal world? Maybe you've always felt a bit different, like you're marching to the beat of a different drum. The chosen often feel this way, not because they're better than anyone else, but because they're tuned into a different frequency. If you've ever looked around at your coworkers or friends and thought, is this really all there is to life? You might be one of the chosen. Another sign is a deep sense of empathy. Do you find yourself easily affected by other people's emotions? Can you walk into a room and immediately sense the mood? The chosen often have a heightened sensitivity to the feelings and energies of others. This can be both a blessing and a curse. It allows for deep connections with others, but it can also be overwhelming at times. Do you have a strong pull towards spiritual or philosophical ideas? This doesn't necessarily mean you're religious in the traditional sense. But if you find yourself drawn to big questions about the meaning of life, the nature of the universe, or the purpose of human existence, you might be one of the chosen. These individuals often have a sense that there's more to the world than what we can see and touch. Creativity is another common trait among the chosen. Do you have a strong urge to create, whether it's through art, music, writing, or some other form of expression? Do you see the world in a unique way, noticing beauty or possibility where others might not? The chosen often have a powerful creative drive, even if they don't always know how to express it. Another sign is a feeling of restlessness or dissatisfaction with the status quo. If you find yourself constantly thinking, there must be more to life than this, you might be one of the chosen. This isn't about being ungrateful for what you have. It's about sensing that you're meant for something different, something more aligned with your true self. Do you have a strong desire to make a difference in the world? The chosen often feel a deep need to contribute, to leave the world a better place than they found it. This might manifest as a passion for environmental causes, social justice, or simply a desire to help others in your daily life. Another common trait is a love of learning and personal growth. Are you always seeking out new information, new experiences, new ways of understanding the world? The chosen are often lifelong learners, driven by curiosity and a desire to continually evolve. Intuition is another key characteristic of the chosen. Do you often have hunches or gut feelings that turn out to be right? Do you sometimes know things without knowing how you know them? The chosen often have a strong intuitive sense, a kind of inner guidance system that helps them navigate the world. Another sign is a feeling of being constrained by societal norms and expectations. If you've ever felt like the normal path of school, career, marriage, house, kids, retirement just doesn't feel right for you, you might be one of the chosen. These individuals often feel a need to forge their own path, even if it's not understood or approved of by others. Lastly, do you have a sense of mission or purpose, even if you're not sure what it is yet? The chosen often feel like they're here for a reason, like they have something important to contribute to the world. This feeling might be vague or specific, but it's usually persistent. Now, it's important to note that you don't have to tick all these boxes to be one of the chosen. These are just common traits and experiences. And even if you do relate to many of these signs, it doesn't mean your life is going to magically fall into place or that everything will be easy. Being one of the chosen often means facing unique challenges and having to find your own way in a world that's not always set up for people like you. But if you do see yourself in many of these signs, it might be time to start thinking about how you can honor your unique nature. How can you start living in a way that's more aligned with who you really are? How can you use your gifts and sensitivities to create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling? Now that we've talked about the signs of being one of the chosen, let's dive deeper into why freedom is so crucial for these individuals, especially from a spiritual perspective. When we talk about freedom here, we're not just talking about being able to do whatever you want whenever you want. We're talking about a deeper kind of freedom. The freedom to be who you truly are, to fulfill your purpose, to grow and evolve spiritually. For the chosen, Freedom isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. It's like air for the soul. Without it, they can't fully express who they are or become who they're meant to be. This need for freedom goes beyond just wanting to escape the 9 to 5 grind. It's about having the space to explore, to create, to connect with something greater than themselves. Think about it this way. Imagine you're a tree. To grow strong and healthy, you need certain things: sunlight, water, good soil. For the chosen, freedom is like sunlight. Without it, they might survive, but they can't truly thrive. They can't reach their full potential or bear the fruit they're meant to bear. One of the main reasons the chosen need freedom is for spiritual growth. Spiritual growth isn't something that happens on a fixed schedule. It doesn't clock in at 9 and clock out at 5. It happens in moments of insight, in periods of reflection, in bursts of inspiration. These moments can't always be planned or scheduled. They need space to happen naturally. In a traditional 9 to 5 job, there's often little room for this kind of spiritual exploration. You're expected to focus on your tasks, to be productive in a very specific way. But for the chosen, productivity isn't just about completing tasks or meeting quotas. It's about growing, learning, evolving. It's about becoming more of who they're meant to be. Freedom also allows the chosen to follow their intuition. Many of the chosen have a strong intuitive sense, a kind of inner guidance system. But in a structured 9 to 5 environment, there's often little opportunity to follow this intuition. You're expected to follow procedures, to do things the way they've always been done. For the chosen, this can feel like ignoring their own inner wisdom, their own spiritual compass. Another reason freedom is so important is that it allows the chosen to align their actions with their values. Many of the chosen have a strong sense of ethics, a deep commitment to doing what they believe is right. But in many traditional jobs, you don't always have control over the impact of your work. You might find yourself working for a company whose values don't align with your own, or doing work that you don't feel good about. This misalignment can be deeply distressing for the chosen, causing a kind of spiritual discord. Freedom also provides the opportunity for creative expression. For many of the chosen, creativity isn't just a hobby, it's a spiritual practice. It's a way of connecting with something greater than themselves, of channeling higher wisdom or energy. But creativity doesn't always fit neatly into a 9 to 5 schedule. It might strike at midnight or dawn, or in the middle of the afternoon. Having the freedom to follow these creative impulses when they arise is crucial for the chosen's spiritual well-being. Moreover, freedom allows the chosen to pursue their unique purpose. Many of the chosen feel a strong sense of mission or calling. They feel like they're here to do something specific, to make a particular contribution to the world. But discovering and fulfilling this purpose often requires exploration, trial and error, and the ability to take risks. In a traditional 9 to 5 job, there's often little room for this kind of exploration. You're expected to fit into a predefined role, to do a specific job. For the chosen, this can feel like denying their true purpose, their reason for being. Freedom also allows for deeper connections, with oneself, with others, and with the world at large. Many of the chosen have a strong need for meaningful connections. They want to engage with people on a deep level, to have conversations that go beyond small talk, to form relationships that are based on shared values and mutual growth. But in many traditional work environments, there's little time or space for this kind of connection. You're expected to be professional, to keep things surface level. For the chosen, this can feel isolating and unfulfilling. It's also worth noting that freedom doesn't just benefit the chosen themselves, it benefits the world as a whole. When the chosen have the freedom to be who they truly are, to pursue their unique purpose, they're able to make their fullest contribution to the world. They're able to share their gifts, their insights, their unique perspective. And in doing so, they help to create a richer, more diverse, more spiritually evolved world for all of us. But here's the thing. This kind of freedom isn't always easy to achieve. Our society is set up in a way that often values conformity over individuality, stability over exploration. For the chosen, carving out this kind of freedom often requires courage, creativity, and a willingness to go against the grain. It might mean taking risks, stepping off the beaten path, and facing uncertainty. It might mean disappointing others who don't understand your choices. It might mean periods of financial instability as you figure out how to support yourself while staying true to your path. But for the chosen, the alternative, staying trapped in a life that doesn't allow for spiritual growth and self-expression, is even more daunting. It's like trying to hold your breath underwater. You can do it for a while, but eventually, the need for air becomes overwhelming. So if you're one of the chosen, and you're feeling that deep need for freedom, know that it's not just a whim or a phase. It's a crucial part of your spiritual journey. It's your soul calling out for the space it needs to grow, to evolve, to become all that it's meant to be. The challenge, then, is figuring out how to create this freedom in your life. How can you break free from the chains of the 9 to 5 grind and create a life that allows for spiritual growth, creative expression, and the pursuit of your unique purpose? It's not always an easy journey, but for the chosen, it's a necessary one. It's the path to true fulfillment, to living a life that's aligned with your deepest self and your highest potential. Now that we understand why the traditional 9 to 5 lifestyle doesn't work for the chosen, and why spiritual freedom is so crucial, let's explore some alternative ways of living that might be more fulfilling. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all solution here. The key is finding a lifestyle that aligns with your unique gifts, values, and purpose. One option that many of the chosen find appealing is freelancing or self-employment. This path allows for much more flexibility in terms of when and how you work. As a freelancer, you can often set your own hours, choose your projects, and work from wherever you feel most inspired. This could mean working from home, from a coffee shop, or even while traveling the world. The freedom to design your own workday can be incredibly liberating for those who don't thrive in a structured office environment. Another possibility is pursuing a career in a creative field. This could mean becoming an artist, writer, musician, or any other type of creator. While these paths can be challenging and often require a lot of hard work and perseverance, they also offer the opportunity for deep self-expression and the chance to share your unique vision with the world. For many of the chosen, the ability to create and inspire others is worth the trade-off of a less stable income. Some of the chosen find fulfillment in careers focused on helping others. This might mean becoming a therapist, life coach, spiritual guide, or working in fields like social work or nonprofit organizations. These types of jobs often allow for more meaningful connections with others and the satisfaction of knowing you're making a positive difference in people's lives. Entrepreneurship is another path that can work well for the chosen. Starting your own business allows you to create something that aligns with your values and vision. It can be challenging, but it also offers the potential for great personal growth and the ability to shape your work environment in a way that supports your spiritual needs. For those who still need or want a more traditional job, finding work with a company that aligns with your values can make a big difference. Look for organizations that prioritize work-life balance, offer flexible hours, or have a mission that resonates with you. Some companies are beginning to recognize the value of employees who think differently and are creating more accommodating work environments. Another option is to create a portfolio career, a mix of different part-time jobs or gigs that together make up a full-time income. This approach allows for variety and can help prevent the boredom or stagnation that the chosen often feel in traditional jobs. Some of the chosen find that reducing their work hours and embracing a simpler lifestyle allows them more time and energy for spiritual pursuits. This might mean downsizing your living situation, cutting back on unnecessary expenses, and focusing on experiences rather than material possessions. For those with a strong spiritual calling, becoming a spiritual teacher, meditation instructor, or yoga teacher could be a fulfilling path. These roles allow you to share your spiritual insights and help others on their own journeys. Remember, creating an alternative lifestyle often requires creativity, courage, and persistence. It may take time to find or create the right situation for you. Be patient with yourself and stay open to possibilities. Embarking on a non-traditional path can be scary. It's normal to have fears and doubts, especially when you're considering leaving the security of a traditional job. Let's address some common concerns and how to overcome them. One of the biggest fears is financial insecurity. How will I pay my bills if I leave my steady job? This is a valid concern, but it's important to remember that there are many ways to make money outside of traditional employment. Start by building up your savings before making a big change. Consider starting your alternative career as a side hustle while still working your day job. This allows you to test the waters and build up your new income stream before fully taking the plunge. Another common fear is failure. What if I try something different and it doesn't work out? Remember, failure is a natural part of any journey. In fact, it's often through our failures that we learn the most valuable lessons. Try to reframe failure as feedback, information that helps you adjust your course and get closer to where you want to be. Many of the chosen worry about disappointing others, especially family members who might not understand their choices. It's important to communicate openly with your loved ones about your feelings and aspirations. Help them understand that pursuing a different path isn't about rejecting their values, but about being true to yourself. At the same time, remember that you don't need everyone's approval to make choices that are right for you. Self-doubt is another major hurdle. Am I really capable of doing this? This is where self-reflection and personal development work can be really helpful. Take time to acknowledge your strengths and the unique gifts you have to offer. Surround yourself with supportive people who believe in you and your vision. Fear of the unknown can be paralyzing. The traditional career path is familiar and predictable, even if it's unfulfilling. Stepping off that path means venturing into unknown territory. Combat this fear by doing your research. Talk to people who are living the kind of life you aspire to. Learn from their experiences. Remember, every path is unknown until you start walking it. Many people also fear losing their identity. Your job might be a big part of how you see yourself and how others see you. The idea of letting go of that can be scary. But remember, you are so much more than your job title. This is an opportunity to explore and express other aspects of who you are. Lastly, there's the fear of making the wrong choice. What if I leave my job and then regret it? Remember that few decisions in life are truly irreversible. If you try something new and it doesn't work out, you can always make another change. The biggest regret often comes from not trying at all. Overcoming these fears and doubts isn't about eliminating them completely. It's about learning to move forward despite them. It's about having the courage to listen to your inner voice, even when it's telling you to do something that seems risky or unconventional. To illustrate how this journey might unfold, let's look at a personal story. Meet Sarah, a woman who always felt like she didn't quite fit into the corporate world, but didn't know why. Sarah had always been a bit different. As a child, she was highly sensitive and creative, often lost in her own imaginative world. But as she grew up, she learned to push these parts of herself aside to fit in. She got good grades, went to a prestigious university, and landed a high-paying job at a big corporation. On paper, Sarah had it all. A great salary, a fancy title, a nice apartment, but inside, she felt empty. She'd wake up each morning with a sense of dread, forcing herself to go to a job she hated. She felt disconnected from her coworkers, unable to relate to their enthusiasm for climbing the corporate ladder. At night, Sarah would find herself staying up late, painting or writing poetry, things she loved but never had time for during the day. She started to realize that she felt more alive during these late-night creative sessions than she ever did at work. One day, during a particularly stressful week at work, Sarah had a breakdown. She realized she couldn't keep living this way. She started researching alternative careers and came across the concept of the chosen. As she read about the characteristics of these individuals, she felt a shock of recognition. For the first time, she understood why she had always felt so out of place. Sarah started making small changes. She began meditating each morning, which helped her feel more centered and in touch with her intuition. She cut back on unnecessary expenses and started saving money. She also started a blog where she shared her artwork and writing. Gradually, Sarah's blog gained a following. People resonated with her honest reflections on the struggle to live authentically in a world that often values conformity. She started getting requests for commissioned artwork. It wasn't easy, but eventually, Sarah made the leap. She left her corporate job to pursue her art full-time. There were moments of fear and doubt, times when she wondered if she had made a huge mistake. But overall, she felt more alive than she had in years. Today, Sarah makes a living through a combination of selling her artwork, writing, and teaching creativity workshops. Her income is less predictable than it was in her corporate job, but she feels rich in ways that can't be measured by a paycheck. She's doing work that feels meaningful to her, work that allows her to express her true self and connect with others on a deeper level. Sarah's story is just one example of how this journey might unfold. Your path might look very different. The key is to listen to that inner voice, to honor your unique gifts and calling, even when it means going against the grain. As we come to the end of our exploration, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed. We've talked about why the traditional 9-to-5 work model often doesn't work for the chosen, the signs that you might be one of these unique individuals, the spiritual need for freedom, alternative ways of living, and how to overcome the fears and doubts that can hold you back. If you've resonated with what you've read here, if you felt a spark of recognition or a surge of excitement, know that this is significant. It might be your inner wisdom, your higher self, trying to guide you towards a more authentic and fulfilling life. Remember, being one of the chosen isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being different, about having a unique sensitivity and purpose. It's about feeling called to live and work in a way that might not fit the conventional mold. Embracing this path isn't always easy. It often requires courage, creativity, and perseverance. You might face misunderstanding from others, periods of uncertainty, and moments of self-doubt. But the rewards can be immense. The joy of living in alignment with your true self, the satisfaction of doing work that feels meaningful, the peace that comes from honoring your spiritual needs, these are priceless. If you're standing at a crossroads, feeling the pull towards a different kind of life, but unsure of how to proceed, start small. Begin by creating more space in your life for the things that make you feel alive. Whether that's creativity, spiritual practices, time in nature, or meaningful connections with others. Start exploring alternative career paths or ways of working that might be a better fit for you. Remember, this is your journey. There's no one right way to live or work. The key is to find what feels true and right for you, what allows you to fully express your gifts and fulfill your purpose. To those of you who are part of the chosen, know that the world needs you. We need your sensitivity, your creativity, your unique perspective. We need the contributions that only you can make. By honoring your true nature and living authentically, you not only create a more fulfilling life for yourself, you also help to create a richer, more diverse, more spiritually awakened world for all of us. So if you've been feeling that pull, that sense that you're meant for something different, don't ignore it. Listen to it. Honor it. It might be scary to step off the conventional path, but remember, the greatest adventures, the most profound growth, often happen when we have the courage to follow our own unique calling. You weren't made to work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You were made for something more, something different. Embrace your uniqueness, trust your inner wisdom, and have the courage to create a life that truly reflects who you are and what you're here to do. The world is waiting for your unique light to shine.